The International Labour Organization launched its 2014 Global Employment Trends report with some troubling findings in the world of work.
We calculate that there are about 62 million fewer jobs in the world economy today than there were before the financial crisis hit.
The launch of the report this week coincides with the 2014 World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. As world leaders and business icons gathered in the mountains, there's been one subject dominating discussions more than anything else: inequality. Experts at today's UN meeting welcomed this.
And this week, the elites are meeting in Davos, and the good news is that they're now actually contemplating the costs of growing inequalities in terms of disruptions to societies. And here I want to sound a bit dramatic. It really is about time.
A groundbreaking report from Oxfam found that just 85 individuals have a combined wealth of the bottom 50% of the world. That's 3.5 billion people. Such a disparity is invariably a result of global economic policy, and in effect is a contributing factor to the rising inequality worldwide.
Because over the last decades, what we have really seen play out that has been allowed to happen is something that is morally reprehensible, suboptimal, even many would say stupid from an economic policy point of view.
Experts say this staggering inequality is therefore linked to the global unemployment crisis.
It's important, I think, for us to work on inequality questions both in the workplace so that we see a narrowing of wage dispersion. In recent years, the wages of the bulk of the workforce in most countries have been stagnant or only growing a little bit. The incomes of people at the very top end of the spectrum, the top 1% in most countries, have really been growing very rapidly.
So will the World Economic Forum produce the necessary action on inequality and unemployment from the powerful business leaders and government officials present? Not likely, panelists said.
What is clear is that there won't be any Moses coming down from the mountains around Davos for us with that set of commitments.
Jobs are created on the ground. They're not created in Geneva. They're not even created in national capitals.
Well, to be honest, I think the bottom 50% really are the ones who are going to really make the impact on whether policies change.
For many, the answer to unemployment and inequality lies with the very groups who suffer the most from economic crisis and unequal distribution of wealth. Groups like women and youth.
Most of my business colleagues could not agree more that if we focused on women and youth, we would solve, if we could get our arms around those issues, we would solve a lot of our problems. Women are the world's largest untapped natural resource. They're the biggest possible source of economic growth and well-being and prosperity in societies.
For others, it's about empowering the very workers who would have the biggest impact in addressing economic inequality and unemployment at the national and international levels, in the form of free trade unions.
So working either jointly on or collectively vis-a-vis public policy or working with their employers, unions have a fundamental role to play to reduce global level of unemployment.
In the labor market, you have various constituencies, and organizing them can play a major role in addressing some of the major challenges, because it can make it more efficient in terms of finding or defining first the problems, seeing what the problems are, and then of course also in designing solutions to these problems.
Experts agree that trade unions, women and youth will have a significant role to play as the international community faces the challenges of staggering inequality and lingering unemployment.
And now, all over the world, civil society, unions, progressive elements of business, citizens are demanding a transformative agenda that makes the world fairer, safer, and sustainable.
And perhaps something else will be needed too.
Some people are actually talking about a new social covenant, conveying that this is about recommitting ourselves to a set of fundamental, enlightened, and decent values.
When we're thinking about a new covenant, it's, if you like, it's a new relationship between the world of work and the way in which we run our economies.
Solving unemployment and inequality will not be easy. In addition to the technical fixes necessary, experts say something else is needed too. A new social covenant, a new way of thinking, with values that will help shape the world into a more inclusive, equal, and sustainable place for all. For South-South News, I'm Brendan Pastor at the United Nations.